Welcome everyone to Sarah Ferruia Coaching's Legends series. There are many ways to lead a life and this is one of them. Everybody has stories and I want to hear yours and tell theirs and create a work style and a lifestyle that you can be proud of. Today I have the amazing Maya Ileto with me. Maya is a gyrokinesis teacher. She's a certified gyrokinesis pre-trainer, teacher trainer, and a gyrotonic trainer with pulley, tower and archway. She conducts bilingual Japanese and English classes at one of the leading yoga and movement studios in Tokyo, which is really close to Yoyogi Park. This isn't all. This isn't everything about Maya. And I am completely covered in goosebumps right now because I'm so excited. Maya Ileto, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're very, very welcome.
So I'm Filipino heritage. My parents are both Filipino. I'm a totally summer lover, right? But I was born in like a freezing upstate New York City. I was born in Ithaca, where my parents went to university.
So they were studying at university while they had children?
That's right.
That's pretty radical.
Well, it was my dad working on his PhD.
I see.
So it was years, years in the making. So I spent a couple of years in the US, but after that they moved back to the Philippines. So I grew up in the Philippines. After that they moved to Australia, so I also spent many years in Australia, as you can tell from my very thick Australian accent. And basically my family was always moving. So every 2 years we would move between the Philippines and Australia. So I was constantly, starting again. And then I ended up here after that. So that's basically the trajectory.
So all that moving around then, as a child, I guess that you grew up in lots and lots of different places. As you look back on that, what do you think?
I think it helps you become really versatile, adaptable, resilient, because you're just constantly reinventing yourself, I guess. And I was doing it from like a young age.
Yeah.
From the age of 7, and then at 10, and then at 13. And then after that, when I was 19 again, when I came to Japan for the first time. Okay. So there are always different stages where I just, okay, I'm new, let's start again, let's do this. And then I always found it really exciting. It never upset me in a way like, oh no, I'm leaving all my friends, blah, blah, blah. I sort of got used to that sort of way of dealing with life.
What was that reinvention process for you?
And just kind of like making new friends, having a new house, At those stages I also would have a new sibling because we're all spread apart, right? So it was always exciting and different. Like, I know it's so cliche to say global citizen.
Yes,
But in my story, yes. I mean, I really feel that I'm neither this nor this. I'm just like this kind of glob of whatever.
Global citizen.
Yeah, let's call it that.
Okay, we've just invented something.
Hashtag global citizen. And it doesn't mean I'm neither here nor there. It's just this whole separate entity.
Yeah.
And I like it. I love it. I own it. I don't feel like it doesn't make me insecure. It doesn't make me feel like I have identity issues. I just kind of went with it. It just is who I am. I'm married and my husband is also not Japanese.
Yes.
And we made this our home.
Yes.
Okay, so that's another part of the story. I mean, many couples we meet here in Japan, international couples, have a Japanese spouse.
Yeah.
In fact, we find it really difficult to find, not that we're actively searching for other couples.
You've got like in the classified ads,
yes,
in search of.
No.
Yeah.
But we rarely meet other couples who are both not from Japan. Right. So I think that's also part of that, global citizen story of how we ended up here and how we made a life here.
It's like you find where you belong, but you don't fit in.
Yeah. But, but we do. I can't even imagine living anywhere else. There was a point in my 20s when I thought, this is who I am. Yeah. And it was like this, and that's it. This is who I am. Yeah. Everyone sees me this way. This is me. But then there was a turning point where everything changed and I was like, I can't be that anymore. And I went through this sort of identity crisis, if you will. Like, if I don't do this, am I still going to be me? But everybody knows me as this. This is me. Is that okay?
I call these pivot points.
Yeah.
Where something pivots and it changes, and then it's like, oh, that I leave behind now.
Yeah.
So this pivot point, is there any way you can share that with us?
Yeah. I said 20s.
Yeah.
I meant 30s.
30s. Okay.
I forget.
Yes.
Like, so I studied law in university, and I wanted to change the world. Idealistic, you know, and I wanted to become a diplomat. That was one of my goals, for example. My grandfather was a diplomat, and I grew up looking at him and going, oh, that's such a cool life.
Yeah.
And I'd always danced, and I've always been a movement person. But at a pivot point in my life, I was just like, oh, you know, I'm going to go to university. I'm going to try and change the world. I went to graduate school as well.
For law?
Yeah. Graduate school, I did human rights. And then I started working in nonprofits, several NGOs in Japan, like Peace Boat, for example.
Yeah.
I worked for People Tree or Global Village. I worked for them as well, Fair Trade Fashion. And it was all wonderful and satisfying. And I really felt that that was my life mission at that point. But then I had a pivot point in my late 30s where my husband and I tried to start a family. I'm like going to the doctor every day, doing stuff, you know, trying to work things out with this, you know, making a family business. But then also I had this full-time job that was just like all-consuming, mentally and physically. It was just, you had to always be there and you had to be on. So I couldn't balance that, and it was very, very difficult. So I made the choice to go freelance so that I could like somehow manage.
To do both.
To do both. And when I did that, I was just like, oh my God, am I being a quitter? Like, can I handle this, like, you know? But if I don't, I'll never know if this could happen.
Yeah.
I did that for a little while, but it was killing me because I was like, oh my God, I'm no longer a full-time NGO worker. What am I? What is this? What is this, like, purgatory?
Oh, it felt like purgatory. I mean, there's so many labels, aren't there, Maya? I know. This is such a rich pivot point for me, what you're describing here. It's like, I decided I was one way. I mean, how would you have described that type A? I'm not a quitter. I stick with things. Yeah. I do that.
Yeah. And I will do this for other people, the vulnerable people of the world that I want to help. I will do this for them. But then what?
What about me?
What about this part of my life, right? So yeah. So. But it got worse, Sarah. So, so I was doing that, and then on top of that, I find out that my mother had cancer. And so when that happened, then it became, oh, okay, pressing. Like, it was already all kinds of time issues, but then your mom has cancer. You only have a certain amount of time. She only like had 6 months basically, and I was like flying back and forth to Singapore. It was a very, very difficult time. And of course that changed my mindset again, right? You just have to do what you have to do. Time is limited. You make your choices and you make your priorities. You decide, what do I need to do? And so after I went through that period of like the loss of my mom and also the loss of the idea of having children, because at that point we'd done enough, we'd done everything we could, and we decided to move on. It was just like that time to really reinvent myself again.
At that time, how did you and your husband keep your head above water? Because I mean, that's a lot to happen all in one go, and so tied up with mother stories as well, if I think about it.
Correct, absolutely. So, during that time, the whole like Mother's Day thing killed me. It was like, I lost my mother and I can't be a mother. I hate Mother's Day! You know, it's just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was terrible. My husband and I were like a team as we were trying to deal with this, and we made a plan, and we were basically like, if it doesn't work, let's just do what we can with what we have. I mean, okay, it was 2 years of like the worst slump in my life. Like, I've never been that, you know, like just every day was like a slog, right? But then when we made the decision, we were actually like very proactive about like what we were gonna do and how we were going to live our lives. Just about the same time as we were going through it, we had a there were friends of ours who broke up over it.
Oh.
Because, you know, if you're just not on the same page and you're trying, and one is not trying as much or is not as passionate about it or as committed, then it's gonna start. It's a hard decision, right?
It brings your shit up.
It does.
Right up to the surface.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of investigating. It's not fun.
Yeah. Well, we watched our friends go through, you know, they broke up over this whole thing. And we were just like, we don't want to be like that. Because we didn't get married to have children. No. We didn't. I mean, we got married because we wanted to get married. Because we wanted to be together. That was it. Okay, well, we couldn't join that club, but let's just keep with our club. We have our own club and enjoy that club. You know what I mean?
I'm in your
it's
club.
that simple. Yeah. You know?
You look and you gather that information and decide, no, we want a better, not better, we want something better for the two of us together. We are a team. You mentioned the word team, and you are going to do what you can with what you have.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So what's interesting is that one of the ways I was trying to make myself feel better was bodywork. Okay? And I took a class down the road of gyrokinesis, and then it made me feel that my body was mine again. Because when you go through infertility, it's not yours. I mean, you're trying to do so much with your body, but it's not yours. It's like you're surrendering your body to, like, you know, the hospitals or whatever. So I was going through this, like, oh, this is not my body. And then I was going through my mom going through chemo, and that's not her body.
Yeah.
And so, like, the combination of just, like, the body sucks. Like, even her perspective, my perspective, everything is just, ugh. So I was trying to find a way to, like, feel at home in my body. So that's when I started taking this gyrokinesis class. I mean, I'd known about gyrokinesis from when I was living in New York 15 years ago. But then I decided to take a class in Tokyo, fell in love with it. And I remember saying to the teacher, this is amazing, I really love this. I'd love to become a teacher one day. On my first session with her. And now I work for her. From there, I decided to go into it because it made me feel good. I did it for myself. And then I realized that it was something that I could teach. And it's everything now. It's 100% of what I do now. For a while, I was trying to do both. And then as of maybe 2 years ago, it just became 100% of my business.
You know, I've written down here, like, it made me feel my body was mine again. And I feel at home in my body. And it's like you do help people to feel more at home in their bodies now. I attend your classes regularly, and I've done one-to-one work with you as well. And that is one of the great things about working with you, Maya, is that you really do I have never once felt ashamed in your presence. Not once. Never. Yeah, you make me feel like you're just trying to help me to return into my body.
I'm glad you feel like that. That's everything for me. I mean, really, I really want people to enjoy their time in my class.
Yes.
In that moment, just own who they are and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right? Keep your legs away from the body, not so close. I'm shaking too, don't worry, just do it.
So why don't you just break down when you say, I do this full time now?
Basically, I've just gradually stopped doing the NGO, and it was a lot of translation work as well, because I'm bilingual. So I have been, over the years, I've been doing a lot of translation work for different Japanese NGOs. And I continued that for, like, many years while I have been building up my business. Okay, so there's just this overlap.
Yeah.
When I quit the full-time NGO job, I mean, I needed time to build up my business.
Yes.
As a freelancer, right?
Yeah.
I was lucky enough that I have a husband who is very, very, you know, supportive.
Yes.
All right. And so he's watched me build this up over the years, to a point where, as of last year, I just stopped doing translation altogether because I no longer needed to supplement with the translation work.
Yeah.
And so that's, like, when I finally feel like, okay, I feel secure being this new B person. The A became the B. It just went do, and now I'm B. A, B. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And this B was always here somewhere, but now it's just kind of emerged as a full-time me. A full-time me.
This is a word that's coming up a lot for us here.
Yeah.
What do you think is waiting to emerge next for you?
When I first started teaching gyrokinesis, I was just teaching one class a week at an embassy, just one class in English. Fast forward to now, I teach in mostly Japanese. My clients are now mostly Japanese. Probably 90% of my clients are Japanese, and I teach in Japanese. And I also train teachers as well.
Yes.
So that's like another layer that I added last year. And I've also sort of started teaching machine work as well. So I've been teaching with the machines. I got new qualification last year and another one just last month.
Yeah.
So I'd like to keep building on like what I'm qualified to teach. For the first time this year, I've had people from abroad come to Japan to take my course, for example.
Wow.
Whereas last year it was only in Japan. As a dream, I'd really love to be able to travel with it and be asked to be somewhere else rather than do it here. That would be fun.
It's almost like you're coming full circle. You're starting to feel like you're going to become an ambassador for the technique. Like you're going to be the diplomat of gyro or something. That's what I'm hearing. This great, very humble pride in the fact that people are coming to you now. For you, for your classes, people are learning with you, they're coming from overseas. It's like...
I was going to say, well, this is the other thing is, like I used to do translation work, for example, and now I do translation work for the gyrokinesis headquarters. When they have teachers from abroad coming to Japan, then I do the translation for that. So it's like worlds collide.
Yes.
Like it's something I did in a previous profession, and now I'm doing it in my current profession.
Another thing that I notice here, which I'm sure we were both talking about, investing in just getting better and better at stuff and continually upgrading hashtag upgrades is the closer to mastery you get, the further away it gets.
Yeah.
And that's something that I just also thought was a bit of a cheesy, like, oh, the more you know, the less you know kind of thing, but actually it's so true.
Yeah.
And I think that the paradox of those two things is that as you become a master, you realize how much more you have to learn, but you also have to own where you are.
Yeah.
If you don't own where you are and you only look at the gap, then you're not even on your path to mastery.
That's true.
Because you have to be able to be of service while on the path.
Yeah.
I mean, you're fully fluent in Japanese. Tell me about that very quickly. How did you get fluent in Japanese?
I just studied it.
Studied it.
I studied it for a long time.
Newsflash, just study it.
No, I studied it when I was in university, though.
Yeah.
It was already with the goal to live here. I really wanted to live here one day. I loved it.
To live here.
Yeah. So. It was
You're really at home. I mean, I think it's probably part of that cultural chameleon. We say it's good to be a chameleon, and it doesn't mean you're faking it. A chameleon is always a chameleon, and a chameleon never becomes a cat. It just notices what's going on around them instinctively, and then adjusts. Yeah. It's like you have this incredible ability to be a cultural chameleon, but you're always Maya. I'm assuming you speak some other languages too?
Yeah, I speak Tagalog as well.
Yeah.
And Indonesian. I lived in Indonesia at one point.
Okay.
Just threw that in.
Work. Maya, as we start to wrap up here, what would be your tips and tricks for creating a work style and a lifestyle? What are your biggest learnings? I mean, you've just shared so much juice with us there.
I'm trying to think of the things I tell my sisters.
Oh.
I tell them that it's okay to do things that are different and to not be scared. To be able to welcome fast change before it reaches a point of devastation. That it's okay to just change paths, and it's it's scary, but it's okay and you can do it.
So if you've got a little voice inside you going, are you sure? Don't wait for that devastation to force you into that pivot.
Yeah, basically.
What I'm hearing from you is about this kind of integration of many different selves.
Yeah.
Whereas when you were younger, you were just like, I am this.
Yeah. I think accepting that you're multifaceted early will help.
So Maya, thank you so much for talking to us today. Where can people find you on social media?
Social media, I'm on Instagram, MayaMoves_Tokyo.
MayaMoves_Tokyo. Yeah.
And then I also have a website, which is mayamoves.com.
Mayamoves.com. And Maya Moves is all one word.
Yes.
Maya, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So that was an absolutely fascinating conversation there with Maya. Thank her so much for sharing so much of herself so vulnerably. And one of the key themes and one of the golden threads that runs through this conversation, I think, is about layers and layers and layers of people and what emerges and what we allow to emerge. Don't hold yourself back from moving towards the thing that you want to do, because eventually life will devastate you in some way. That's the human condition. That's going to happen to us one way or another. What we can do is we can start taking those moves, stepping out of the stereotyped versions of ourselves. Those like, I am like this, I am this kind of person, I always, I never, I'm the kind of person who, and just exploring different facets of ourselves. And one more thing I find about Maria is she makes choices, and she and her husband chose to take that shit that happened to them for 2 years and make it really fertile ground. And I think that's a beautiful thing to remember, that shit is fertilizer. Hashtag that. And to really take that fertile ground and grow yourself from there. You'll notice that she doesn't really label herself very much anymore, but what we can see is that she is a person who is integrating so many different things into her life and is on the lookout all the time. I adore her. I love working with her, both as a teacher and as a peer, and I hope that you have enjoyed this too. Thank you from Sarah Faruya Coaching. There are many, many different ways to lead a life. Everybody has stories, and I want to hear yours and tell theirs and create a work style and a lifestyle that you can be proud of. Thank you.